Hey everyone, welcome back to the Railroad, the Union Pacific Railroad Evanston subdivision in a gorgeous HO scale. My name is Darrell Cruz, owner and builder of the layout, and your host for episode 5 already of season 2025. This is a pretty special day. I'm excited to be able to share some significant progress since my last update. And also am pretty charged up about the big Super Bowl game where hopefully the Chiefs will three-peat. Got some work done here on Echo Canyon, which is going to be hopefully one of the signature scenes of the railroad. First of all, before I get to all that, thank all of my members who have supported this channel and supported the layout. Thank you so much for watching all my videos and supporting everything here and just being there, making comments and participating. Thank you so much. Also want to mention that I still have a few sound decoders, Soundtraxx Tsunami 2 sound decoders for sale. So make sure you check that out. I do have the URL in the description. In addition to the sound decoders, I also have some locomotives, some SD90 Max, as well as a Central Valley Bridge and some auto racks and hopefully some other things. So check that out if you're interested in some modern equipment at a great price. All right, here's how things looked since my last update, which was actually 2 weeks ago. So it's appropriate that I have quite a bit to share. I did get some work done on here. This is kind of looked like this for quite some time since I put the bench work in and laid the track. You see the upper level is completed, and it was time to finally tackle the scenery. Now this is what we're shooting for. This is Echo Canyon along Echo Creek. You can see you have some rock formations that kind of jut out along the creek, and this is a Interstate 80, and also there's the train tracks, which are between here and the rock formations. You see there's some kind of valleys between the rock formations. And this is a very historical area. Before the train came through here in 1869, I think the wagons went through here. It was a traveled route to get from Wyoming down to the Salt Lake Basin and continue their trip westward. And of course, the Union Pacific laid this all out in 1869. Here you can see you have these rock formations with little valleys in between. So it's definitely something I want to replicate. Don't have enough room to include the interstate. You can see there is a road down there. Here is a better view. This is a picture I took actually of the tracks and then the road. Just forget what the name of the road is, and then the rock formations. So definitely going to be hopefully a pretty cool area. Main thing is to get the rocks in the right shape and right locations, and then hopefully get the color of the rock correct to make it look like this area as much as possible. Here you can see the tracks down there. I think that's still the road. Here's a satellite view of it. You can kind of see how the mountain ranges were cut by the Echo Creek over time and created this canyon that kind of cut through there. So that's what I'm working at. First thing I did was use my GIMP software, photo editing software, and put together some pictures of that area onto a backdrop. This is a 2 foot by 8 foot banners printed at Walgreens. Now, once 2 feet was a little too wide for what I was looking at, and so I cut it down to about 16 inches, I think, so that it would fit right in through here. Now, I knew with all the big mountain ranges I was going to have in here, mostly I would just have the sky showing through, but I wanted to go ahead and put the mountains in there too, just in case. Could have some areas that would be peeking through in the valleys. I went ahead, once I had it put up, I attached it with some Gorilla spray glue, and then just basically just glued it to the hardboard. Then I used a marker to kind of mark where. Now, as you can see, most of the what's going to be visible is just going to be the sky, but there was a couple places right here I'm going to have some things showing through, and then also there you can see the glue I used would have some rocks showing through. All right, once I had that done, I went ahead and kind of used some scrap plywood and lumber and kind of put some forms in there, mainly just to kind of hold things up. So I wanted to have the rock there, and then have the scenery go towards the backdrop. So from the top of these forms, I want to make sure it would go uphill. So I made it lower than what I drew on the map on the backdrop, so that from the rock formations, then it would go up towards the backdrop. And I wanted to, here you can see, so the rocks are going to go around this edge here and then back towards, and then there's going to be like the bottom there. Again, they're going to have the rock. I'm going to use rock molds to go on the front of it and then go back towards there, and then the top of it will have some green on it, and then that will continue up towards the backdrop. So you kind of get an idea of what I was looking for here. Probably should have put the form a little bit further away from the road, but I wanted it to stick out from the backdrop. So of course, with space limitations, I had to make compromises. If I put it back far enough, then it would be too close to the backdrop. If I have it up too far, it's too close to the road. So I kind of tried to do a good compromise. Then I used some cardboard strips that I used to attach from the backdrop to the plywood form that's next to the tracks. I went ahead and put some here too. I used a hot glue gun to attach this all. Now this was a little too vertical for me. If you look at this picture here, you can see it almost is vertical, but there is kind of a slant to it. So it shouldn't be completely vertical. It should be going back a little bit. So I decided I was going to have this kind of bend back a little bit more. So I knew when I first looked at this that I was going to need to do some adjustment on it. So I did kind of work with that particular form and had it lean back a little bit. So now this one already had a good lean to it, so I didn't need to do too much, although I think I did push that one back a little bit too. I tried to make it varied a little bit, so they weren't all the same. Here I have some more of the vertical pieces in. It's kind of cool how you can kind of see things beginning to take shape. Kind of visualize, as I was doing it, visualize how it was going to look with the plaster and rock molds and coloring and ground foam and everything. You can see it would definitely have some rocks showing, some peaks showing through in the background there. And then same thing here. Now, those are like pictures of the same peak, so I might put something different back there. We'll see. Now, this one here, there's really hardly any space at all. But I definitely wanted to put something there. There you can see the road. And this one, as you can see, it is leaning back a little bit, whereas this one is too. I think I pushed this one back, though, a little bit still. Now, that first one there, though, is definitely too vertical. So as I was putting these forms on, you have to constantly visualize, try and visualize how this was all going to look. Now here I have all the horizontal pieces in as well. You can kind of get an idea of how it all looks. And as I was doing this, I was like, this is kind of too uniform. Like each little rock thing was almost too identical to the others. So I was thinking that's going to definitely have to kind of mix things up a little bit and kind of make it a little more varied. I think I might put a different scene back behind there so it doesn't look exactly like this one. Now, they are two different levels, but it is the same picture. So I kind of thought, I was going to need to do something to kind of make them not look uniform. You want things to look the same in the fact that they're the same geological rock formation, but still you want to have a lot of randomness to it. Now here I'm going to put some trees. This road goes into the backdrop, so I'm going to put some trees right there to hide that, so you won't be able to see the road going into the backdrop. And we'll, of course, have trees, throughout here. This is all along the Echo Creek, so there is a source of water. So that definitely will be a little greenery in through here, along with all the rock formations. Now there's going to be a little restaurant there and gas station there. That's where Echo is. Not a lot of space to put one in there, but I'm going to try and figure something out. Kind of get an idea of how the trains are going to look coming through here. Again, trying to visualize everything and how it's all going to look. Definitely gives it a three-dimensional, with a track at one level, and then the road at another level, and then the rocks up higher. The ground forms in between the track and the fascia, I also try to make that not be just flat. Try to make that having some up and down to it, although not a lot. I'm going to have a gate crossing there at that where the road goes across. Going to be using some Details Plus crossing gates and crossing lights, along with Logic Rail Tech controller. Again, trying to get an idea of how the train's going to look coming through there. Overall, it's pretty. I think it's going to be pretty good. I do have some variedness to it. Here's the last section I need to do. And then this is the upper level, which I finished first. That's west of Waco there. I have some pictures there of what it actually is supposed to look like. So you want the rocks to make. There's our Mahomes. Hopefully he's ready for the game. Also did some work on the fascia here. Making sure that they were kind of flush with each other. I cut both those joints with a saw. Here's what they were. I just overlapped them, like this one here. So what I have to do yet. They were just overlapped. And I just basically took my circular saw and just cut straight up between the two of them, and then put a little plywood splice down between them. And then here, the two didn't measure up too well, so I just used my handy Lombard Hobbies scale ruler. I think they're still available at Lombard Hobbies. I think they're like $4 or $5. But anyway, I use that to kind of put in a straight line there, and then I use my circular saw again to cut that off so that it's finished flush. And then the last thing I did was put in the rosin paper to cover everything up. The rosin paper kind of is there to support things as you put the plaster on. So you don't, once the plaster's on, you don't see the grid of the cardboard. So right now it's ready for plaster. I'm not sure how soon I'm going to get to that. I have a operations weekend coming up with Rail Group, which is a group of layout owners here in the Chicagoland area. We have the Rail Group Invitational in 2 weeks. Here's something that I did to kind of break it up a little bit. So I added some more places where there would be rocks. I think I might add one more in there. After I put that in, I was like, okay, now I made all three of these kind of the same too. So I was like, well, that's not going to work. And they were actually the same, even though they were smaller, they were kind of like the same shape. So I cut them down so that they would be a little different. So just another place to put some vertical rock castings. And that is consistent with the way the rocks are on Echo Canyon. You can kind of look at the backdrop and see how you have different areas of rock. So I think that's going to work out pretty good. I might put one more just to the right of that one there to the right. So I think it's going to turn out pretty good. Again, I don't think I'm going to get to doing the plaster too soon. I might get it done over the next couple of weeks, but I'll probably be spending the next couple of weeks doing some things that I've kind of been waiting to do and wanting to do. I want to paint the floor. I've been not really that careful with what falls on the floor as I've been working on the scenery. Now that I have a lot of the scenery done, I think I'm going to go ahead and repaint the floor that's right along the layout. It's really pretty messy with some plaster droppings and paint on it and so forth. So I just had painted concrete paint this gray color, and then I have it covered up with rugs. The rugs are pretty good shape, but I'm just going to pull the rugs back and paint along the floor along the edge. And there's a lot of other things that I've been kind of wanting to do. Just some housekeeping things and just getting everything working correctly. This is going to be a pretty cool area, I think. Kind of excited about seeing how it's all going to take shape. Especially with crossing gates there. This is a ethanol or oil train going through. And then we also have a empty coal train coming in the opposite direction. So hopefully, as I said, I'm going to put the plaster on there with some plaster gauze, and then paint that plaster gauze with some very diluted plaster, and then do some rock castings. I have a bunch of rock molds, so I'll do a bunch of rock castings and then color the rock castings. It won't be the same color as this is right here. This is actually part of the Weber River Canyon, which has more grayish color rocks. And then you get into the Weber River Canyon, the Echo Canyon, and you get more of the red rock. So this is going to be more of a reddish color, reddish yellow color for here. Again, I want to match the pictures in the backdrop as well as matching the existing rock on the layout. And I hope that it all kind of fits together. That's going to be Wholesome Cement right there. Here we have some more trains coming through. This is a local. This is a local out of Evanston that runs from the Evanston yard down to Wholesome Cement, swaps out some cars at Wholesome Cement, and then continues on to Ogden. I'm getting so close to having this all done. We'll definitely spend a couple weeks here. Probably we'll get this area done sometime in March. Hopefully by the end of March I'll get this section done, and then just have that area there by Emory, about 16 feet there, which will be more of Echo Canyon. And then I'll be done with the basic scenery. This is just a regular manifest train coming through. Really appreciate everybody watching this video. Would be very interested in any comments that you have. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel. Make sure you keep up to date on what's going on and how things are progressing here on the Union Pacific Railroad Evanston subdivision. Have a great week, everyone. Take care.